15 films where the mirror revealed too much. In cinema, mirrors have always promised illusion. They bend reality, split identity, reflect things the eye can't see. Directors use them to stage duplicity, trap a character between selves, or catch that fleeting moment where fiction brushes against something more primal. But sometimes, just sometimes, the mirror reflects something no one planned. Not the actor, not the cinematographer, not even the script. In these instances, the reflection becomes a rupture, a hidden crew member, a camera operator too close, or worse, a figure no one recalls being on set. Blink and you'll miss it. Freeze the frame and it stares back. These aren't goofs or gags, they're mistakes that seem to know they're being watched. What happens when a polished surface, meant only to deepen the scene, begins to show another layer altogether? Something unscripted, something uncredited, a shadow that stands still when everyone else moves, an eye staring directly at the audience when no character is. Some of these moments have been covered up, erased in remastered editions, left unacknowledged in commentary. Others remain buried deep in films you've probably seen, their strange glints waiting to be found. Were they just slip-ups of production, or deliberate insertions meant to unsettle? Because if the mirror doesn't lie, then who exactly is being reflected? Today, we examine 15 films where a single glance at the wrong time, in the wrong place, revealed something cinema wasn't supposed to show. Some say reflections reveal truth, others say they distort it. But what if the most unsettling thing about a mirror isn't what it shows, but what it chooses to show only when no one's supposed to be watching? From Kubrick to Lynch, from accidental shadows to frames edited out of existence, these moments remind us that cinema, like mirrors, is never neutral. It captures, it hides, it lies with precision, or worse, it tells the truth before we're ready to hear it. But now, we turn the reflection toward you. Which of these mirrored moments unsettled you the most, and do you believe any of them weren't mistakes at all? Let us know what you saw, or what you think you weren't meant to. Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, 1992. He left the room, but stayed in the mirror. David Lynch doesn't explain. He distorts, haunts, and suggests. But Fire Walk with Me contains perhaps his most precise horror. In the scene where Leland Palmer enters Laura's bedroom, he turns to leave. The camera lingers. He's gone. But in the mirror behind Laura, he's still there, motionless, staring directly back. The reflection doesn't track with his movement. It doesn't delay. It refuses to leave, like a stain burned into glass. Laura doesn't see it, but we do. And then the camera cuts without acknowledgement. Lynch never commented on the moment, but it's unmistakable. A temporal violation, a spiritual echo, a signal that Leland's body may have moved, but something else remained. So when we watch that scene, we have to ask, was the mirror revealing the killer, or what possessed him? The Haunting of Hill House, 2018. The reflection screamed first. In Mike Flanagan's masterclass in layered horror, reflections serve as breadcrumbs, clues to trauma, death, and timelines collapsing. But one moment in episode 6 breaks the pattern. As Theo walks through the funeral home, she passes a tall antique mirror. In real time, nothing happens. But in the mirror, a figure lunges silently, mouth agape, only to vanish before Theo notices. It's not a jump scare. It's quiet, perfectly timed with her step. But the twist? In the next scene, the same scream that the mirror's figure seemed to mimic is heard this time from a completely different location. A scream before the scream. Flanagan is notorious for hiding ghosts, but this was something else. A chronological fracture. A reflected scream that came before it existed. So what did the mirror know before the characters did? Hereditary, 2018. The mirror didn't reflect grief. It revealed what was feeding on it. In Hereditary, Ari Aster frames mirrors as extensions of trauma, echoes of things left unsaid. But in one quiet moment, the mirror says too much. As Peter sits silently in his room post-tragedy, the camera pans slowly behind him. His reflection is visible, but his mouth is moving, ever so slightly. Peter himself remains still, catatonic. But the reflection? It whispers. Not lip-syncing, not emoting, mouthing something unintelligible, like a chant. It's gone in seconds. But fans freeze-framed, speculated, and obsessed. Aster has never addressed it. The production notes list no VFX in the scene, no body double, no ADR, no explanation. Was it grief visualized, a trick of shadow, or was something already speaking through him? The mirror doesn't show pain, it shows what's inside the pain and maybe what put it there. The Exorcist 3, 1990, the reflection kept moving, but the nurse had already stopped. One of the most famously terrifying moments in The Exorcist 3 doesn't rely on gore, but on stillness. In the hospital corridor scene, a nurse walks away from the camera. As she enters a break room, the mirror behind her reflects her passing. But something's off. The nurse's reflection keeps moving after she's stopped. Not for long, just enough for the human brain to stutter. And then, a split second later, the iconic jump scare arrives, a cloaked figure charging across the hall. Most viewers never catch the mirror anomaly, but those who do report a deep, skin-crawling sensation, as if the mirror was lagging or refusing to align with time. Director William Peter Blatty said nothing about the moment in commentary, but fans believe it's not a glitch, it's a precursor, a signal that reality has slipped. So what happens when even the mirror refuses to obey the laws of time? The Omen, 1976. The mirror didn't predict death, it reflected its cause. The Omen is soaked in omens, but one of its most debated moments has nothing to do with daggers or priests. In a brief bathroom scene, Robert Thorne examines himself in the mirror, haunted, unraveling. But over his shoulder, a faint figure looms. Not Damien, not Catherine, not the nanny. A male silhouette, unmoving. When analyzed frame by frame, the figure aligns exactly with the shadow later cast by the impaled photographer in his death scene hours later in the plot. Yet this mirror moment occurs far earlier. How does a mirror reflect a death that hasn't happened? Some call it visual foreshadowing, others call it a coincidence, but director Richard Donner never commented on it. And the figure? It's never acknowledged again. So did the mirror show guilt? Or did it reveal who truly held the power behind the curse? Possession, 1981. She's alone in the room, but the mirror disagrees. Andrzej Żuławski's possession is raw chaos, surreal emotion, and psychological collapse. Mirrors appear often, but rarely behave. In one unsettling scene, Anna sits by a wall mirror, sobbing uncontrollably. The camera tracks in slowly. She doesn't move, but her reflection does. Not overtly, subtly. The reflection seems to shift slightly, turning its head, blinking out of sync, or recoiling before Anna actually does. It's not just delayed, it's misaligned, as if untethered from her. Critics once argued it was a lighting glitch, but the moment is too deliberate, too central in frame. Others pointed to Żuławski's obsession with fractured identity. Perhaps the mirror reflects what she's becoming. The real question: if Anna was losing her mind, did her reflection leave her behind? It Follows, 2014. The reflection wasn't behind her, it was inside. David Robert Mitchell's It Follows thrives on paranoia, slow, creeping dread. But one shot, simple and quiet, burrows deeper. In a dorm room mirror, Jay applies lipstick. The camera lingers. In the background, nothing. But her reflection's eyes don't align. One stares forward, the other angled slightly to the side, as if watching someone next to her. Someone not there. No one enters the scene. No jump scare, no payoff. But viewers noticed her actual gaze and her reflected gaze were misaligned for 2 full seconds, long enough to register as wrong, long enough to feel haunted. When asked in Q&As, Mitchell said, "We filmed that shot 15 times. Only one had that effect, and it felt right." Did they keep a flawed take by accident? Or did they capture something the camera saw, but no one else did? Eyes Wide Shut, 1999. The mirror never showed her face but someone else's. In Eyes Wide Shut, mirrors saturate the frame, reflecting the fractured psychology of desire and deceit. But there's one brief scene where the mirror betrays its purpose. As Alice undresses near the bedroom mirror, her reflection doesn't track. For a split second, her body is visible, but her face isn't hers. Enhancing the scene reveals subtle anatomical inconsistencies. The reflection's face is older, more angular, and glances away from the viewer, while Alice stares directly ahead. Some claimed it was a body double. Others believe it was a composited reshoot where the wrong face bled through the glass. Kubrick, notoriously perfectionist, would have noticed. So why leave it in? Critics suggest it mirrors Bill's distorted perception of his wife. But fans propose something darker. The mirror doesn't lie, it reveals what Bill can't see. So, whose face was that? The Ring, 2002. She saw herself die before the tape even started. Gore Verbinski's The Ring is built on cursed imagery. But long before Samara's tape finishes its cycle, a subtle moment rewrites the rules. In a quick shot as Rachel closes her bathroom mirror cabinet, her reflection appears distorted. Not twisted in shape, but in time. Her lips move a moment too soon. Her eyes close out of sync. It's a barely perceptible flicker unless you rewind. At first glance, it seems like a post-production misalignment, but rewatch the scene in high resolution, and the truth feels more unnerving. The reflection is performing a slightly different version of Rachel's movements, almost as if previewing a moment that hasn't happened yet. Was it an accident of video compression? Or did the mirror, like the cursed tape, show death before it arrived? Verbinski once remarked in an interview, "Fear isn't about what's in front of you, it's what knows it's being seen." Prince of Darkness, 1987. This mirror doesn't reflect, it transmits. John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness is already a film drenched in cryptic science and spiritual dread, but in one sequence, it quietly breaks the fourth wall via a mirror. In a climactic scene, the possessed woman reaches into the mirror's surface and it ripples. That's the visual effect. But what unnerves viewers is what flashes behind the rippling surface, not the room. Not hell, but a figure in what appears to be a modern-day control booth with blinking red lights. No such room exists in the film's established locations, and Carpenter never addresses the visual in commentaries. Some speculate it's a behind-the-scenes space mistakenly left in during composite layering, but the image is too clear, too centered. Others think it's a coded reference, an outside observer watching us watch the film. So who was in that control room, and what were they recording? The Others, 2001, the mirror didn't reflect Grace, it replaced her. Alejandro Amenabar's The Others is meticulous in mood. Every shadow, every silence, calibrated. But one mirror scene breaks that precision. In a fleeting moment as Grace passes a hallway mirror, her reflection lingers just a breath longer than her body does. She steps forward, the image delays, then fades like a ghost behind glass. It happens only once, and the film never calls attention to it. There's no audio cue, no zoom, just a soft delay that feels wrong. The moment was never acknowledged in DVD commentaries nor in festival screenings. Yet viewers with sharp eyes have found it across multiple versions. It's consistent, unchanged through remasters. Is it a visual metaphor for her true nature? A hint of what she is, long before the twist? Or was the mirror resisting her? If the rest of the house obeys ghostly laws, perhaps the mirror knew before Grace herself did. Candyman, 1992. The reflection knew he was coming before she said his name. The mythology of Candyman is built around mirrors. Say his name 5 times, and he appears. But in one chilling moment, the film flips its own rulebook. In a scene where Helen looks into her bathroom mirror, something flickers behind her, not Candyman himself, not yet, but a shadowy outline that moves before any sound is made. It doesn't match the blocking of the scene, nor the rhythm of the actors. Fan forums once debated whether this was Tony Todd's stand-in, yet the shot breakdown proved otherwise. No actor was assigned to that background. And unlike other jump scares, this presence doesn't pay off immediately. It lingers, and then disappears. The mirror, for once, anticipates the horror before the plot does. Was it a mistake? A crew member caught mid-reset? Or did the film obsessed with reflections allow one to act on its own? Years later, in interviews, Bernard Rose deflected when asked about the scene. His response? Sometimes mirrors show more than what's in front of them. Black Swan, 2010. The reflection blinked before she did. Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan plays heavily with duality. Mirrors become a recurring motif, echoing Nina's descent into madness. But one mirror moment goes beyond stylistic flourish. During the studio rehearsal scene, as Nina stretches at the bar, her reflection subtly moves out of sync. It's not CGI, and it's not Natalie Portman's body double. For just under a second, her mirrored self seems to glance upward a heartbeat before Nina actually does. Not by frames, but by rhythm. A delay that feels too ghostly to be coincidence. The crew insisted it was a layering accident during post-production. Yet Aronofsky, meticulous in framing and metaphor, never addressed it directly. And fans have dissected the timeline. There's no editing jump, no visible mask or split screen. Was it a production oversight? A planned visual cue for Nina's fracturing mind? Or did the mirror catch something she didn't? Poltergeist, 1982. The mirror didn't crack, but something else did. In Poltergeist, supernatural chaos brews in suburbia, but one subtle moment goes unnoticed by most. During the scene where Steve Freeling stares into his bathroom mirror, there's a flash. Not of light, but of movement behind him. A distorted face, not Carol Ann, not Diane, blinks into view for just a frame. Initially chalked up to bad exposure or optical warping, this blink and you'll miss it moment persisted through multiple VHS and early DVD versions. But in the 2015 Blu-ray remaster, it's gone. Cleaned, scrubbed, replaced with digital smoothness. Some argue it was a grip's reflection. Others say it's a double exposure flaw. But the warped geometry of the face elongated mouth agape felt too intentional, almost like a visual echo from the spirit world, a message from something watching us back through the screen. And if it was truly just a mistake, why erase it decades later? The Shining, 1980. There's someone else in room 237 and he's watching. Kubrick's The Shining is a film built on visual puzzles, but one of the eeriest comes not from the infamous blood elevators or the twin girls, but from a mirror. In the scene where Jack speaks with Grady in the bathroom, something strange happens. In the mirror behind them, a dark silhouette flickers past the doorway. The problem? Neither Jack nor Grady move, and no crew member was recorded being there. Freeze frame analysis reveals what appears to be a figure tall, motionless, unlit standing, just outside the frame's logic. Some fans speculate it's a simple crew reflection. Others insist it's intentional. Another layer of the Overlook's haunted geography bleeding into view. Kubrick, obsessive with detail, was known to stage reflections deliberately. So why leave this one unexplained? Worse, in later cuts, the scene is slightly reframed, cropped just enough to obscure the anomaly. Why edit a minor error, unless it wasn't one? So we ask, was that figure in the mirror a mistake Kubrick regretted or a ghost he intended? Peeping Tom, 1960. The mirror didn't just reflect the killer, it framed the audience. Michael Powell's Peeping Tom was vilified upon release, too disturbing, too perverse. But decades later, one of its most quietly chilling moments resurfaces, not in its violence, but in a mirror. In a rehearsal scene, the killer films a dancer with his concealed camera. As he moves, the camera glides past a wall mirror just for a second. And in that second, we see not the character, but the actual film crew. Powell himself, partially obscured. Lights, a boom mic, the apparatus of filmmaking, unhidden. It wasn't an accident. Powell was known for breaking cinematic rules. But here, it's not just a wink at the audience, it's a reflection of complicity. Because Peeping Tom isn't just about voyeurism, it's about us, the viewer, watching horror unfold, lens in hand, face passive. The mirror doesn't betray the character, it implicates the audience. Critics who revisit the film now wonder, was Powell's mirror shot intentional sabotage, or an early meta commentary on cinematic guilt? Either way, the mirror didn't just reveal a reflection, it broke the fourth wall and made sure we were looking at ourselves.